Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be going over the Weather Prediction Center's day 1 through 5 outlook. The reason why I'm talking so quickly is because, as you can see, there is a moderate risk of, not severe weather, a moderate risk of flash flooding for northern Alabama into extreme southern Tennessee, and there is a flash flood emergency for Huntsville, Alabama. I should say the northern part of Huntsville. So if you live in or near northern Huntsville, especially if you're northeast of Huntsville, near the Huntsville city limits, please, for the love of all that is holy, please get to higher ground immediately. Multiple water rescues are being reported and 2 to 4 inch per hour rainfall rates have been observed. So, yes, we have a flash flooding risk, moderate, then a slight risk of flash flooding goes all the way from Alabama all the way up to Iowa, and then deviates right into the Indiana-Ohio border, and then also goes into Texas. So, uh, so there are updates. A special 20Z update. I'm actually going to go backwards, so I'm going to go chronologically in reverse from the updated areas into the not updated areas. So, special 20Z update. Ongoing heavy rain in northern Alabama, where radar estimates have exceeded 4 to 6 inches by 19Z, has led to several reports of flash flooding. This activity is forecast to continue through this evening along an axis of convergence in northern Alabama that may gradually slide southward until instability wanes following sunset and overall thunderstorm activity diminishes. However, an additional 1 to 3 inches of rain is possible, and any rain is likely to compound ongoing widespread flooding impacts, with some significant flooding possible. See mesoscale precipitation discussion number 351 for more information. And yes, like I said earlier, a flash flood emergency has been issued for northern Huntsville and northeastern Huntsville in Alabama and associated areas to the northeast of Huntsville. 16Z update. Forecast remains on track for widely scattered to numerous clusters of thunderstorms to impact a vast region of the central United States from the northern plains to the Tennessee Valley and central Gulf Coast. These thunderstorms may be slow-moving at times and may contain very intense rainfall rates within a highly buoyant, moisture-rich atmosphere. Changes to the outlook include removing some of northeastern North Dakota and northern Minnesota from the marginal risk, as well as expanding the slight risk across central Indiana, given the late 12Z model trends. One area of interest that will be monitored through tomorrow, Monday, especially Monday morning, is near the Ozarks into eastern Oklahoma and southeast Kansas, where a back-building cluster of the thunderstorms now seems likely to develop late tonight into early Monday morning. This will be associated with a lifting mesoscale convective vortice out of northern Texas today and will interact with the strengthening. Excuse me, sorry, with the strengthening low-level jets overnight to create an overrunning scenario within an unstable and highly moist atmosphere. Still some uncertainty with the location of this event and will likely extend beyond the day 1 forecast period, valid through 12Z Monday. 12Z high-resolution ensemble forecasts and rapid ensemble forecast systems probabilities for at least 5 inches of rainfall within 12 hours ending 12Z Monday 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time are between 20 and 40%. Several convective allowing models suggest 7 to 10 inch rainfall totals are possible should the worst-case scenario occur with this nocturnal complex of thunderstorms developing and maintaining itself. If guidance comes into better agreement before this evening regarding the location of this narrow band of heavy rain, an upgrade to a moderate risk, which we saw, will be possible. Now, I'm going to read the previous discussion, and with the previous discussion, there will be conflicting pieces of information, So if there are conflicting pieces of information, which there will be conflicting pieces of information, please reference both the two updates that I just went over. Please do that. Anyways, previous discussion. Numerous thunderstorms are expected to form this afternoon into tonight over a broad area spanning across the Great Plains and the Mississippi, Ohio, and Tennessee valleys. Three primary forcings will trigger thunderstorms: an upper-level shortwave trough moving north across the Central Plains, mid-Mississippi Valley, and the upper Midwest, a strengthening cyclone emerging in the northern and Central Plains, and a quasi-stationary frontal boundary draped across the mid-Mississippi and Ohio valleys. These features will interact with a moist and unstable air mass that will support efficient rainfall processes that could lead to heavy rainfall. Deep and moist southerly flow has primed the atmosphere across the plains and the Mississippi Valley, increasing precipitable water values to around 2 inches, or 2 to 2.5 standard deviations above normal for this time of year. High-resolution convective allowing model guidance suggests rainfall rates of 2 to 4 inches per hour will be possible in thunderstorm cells across the mid-Mississippi Valley and portions of the Ozarks and the western Tennessee Valley, which would exceed current flash flood guidance and result in scattered instances of flash flooding within the slight risk area. Areas from eastern Oklahoma into western Arkansas and east central Illinois into west central Indiana may be more susceptible to flash flooding after rainfall yesterday left soils thoroughly saturated. Heavy rain will likely result in locally high rainfall totals, potentially reaching 5 to 7 inches for some locations within the slight risk area. Locally heavy rainfall will also extend along the quasi-stationary frontal boundary into the Ohio Valley. Storms forming along the boundary will have the potential to produce rainfall rates over 2 inches per hour, and storm motion will be fairly slow. However, convection should be more isolated over the Ohio Valley from portion of the front, resulting in only a marginal risk. Stronger convection will also be possible in the vicinity of a low-pressure system over the northern plains, but storms will be much more progressive in this region, which will limit heavy rainfall potential and the risk of flash flooding. The marginal risk area extends across the northern plains to account for isolated flash flood potential, with stronger thunderstorms that may form. This is today's risk. This is tomorrow's risk. So tomorrow, almost the whole state of Tennessee is included, and most of Kentucky, half of Indiana, most of Illinois, some of Missouri and Arkansas, some of northeastern Oklahoma and southeastern Kansas, some of extreme northeastern Mississippi, northern Alabama, northwest Georgia, western North Carolina, southwestern Virginia, and yada yada yada, all that good stuff. So this is for tomorrow's risk. On Monday, there is a slight risk of excessive rainfall, of course. So on Monday, the northern stream cyclone will move north into Canada, while the leading shortwave trough and embedded mesoscale convective vortice activity pushes east across the Midwest and Tennessee Valley. At the same time, a cold front sinking southward along the Carolinas will drape as a stationary front into the Ohio Valley and Midwest. Heavy rainfall potential will be focused in the warm sector of the system over the mid-Mississippi, lower Ohio, and Tennessee valleys, where a very moist and unstable air mass will still be in place. The splitting upper-level shortwave will push some energy across these regions, which will support a broad area of widespread to numerous thunderstorms. With weakening steering flow and remnant mesoscale convective vortices from earlier convection, storm motions are expected to become very slow, which will heighten the threat for flash flooding. One of these mesoscale convective vortices may be producing ongoing heavy rainfall across the Ozarks and into northeast Oklahoma and southeast Kansas at the start of the Day 2 forecast period Monday morning, which prompted the upgrade to a slight risk here. By midday Monday and into the evening hours, the flash flooding risk is expected to span from Wisconsin into Illinois and southeast to the southern Appalachians and Tennessee Valley. These numerous slow-moving thunderstorms are forecast to contain at least 2-inch per hour rainfall rates at times and create scattered instances of flash flooding. Then, a final round of efficient rain-producing thunderstorms may occur across the lower Ohio and Tennessee valleys near the southwest inflow sector of a potential mesoscale convective vortice overnight Monday. Currently, there remains high uncertainty with the exact location of this feature, but convective allowing models do depict the potential for 5 to 7-inch rainfall totals near western Kentucky and western and middle Tennessee. The HREF or High Resolution Ensemble forecasts show impressive neighborhood probabilities, 40 to 60%, of 24-hour rainfall totals exceeding 5 inches in this region. Some of these areas within the slight risk will also receive heavy rainfall during the day 1 period, which may increase the risk of flash flooding if the areas are impacted by additional storms with heavy rainfall on Monday. Isolated pockets of significant impacts are possible, and these areas will be monitored for future updates should the confidence in local locations of extreme rainfall increase. Outside of the slight risk area, a broad marginal risk area extends into the upper Midwest and Central Plains. Anomalous moisture will surge north behind the lifting warm front, which will support locally heavy rainfall that may lead to isolated instances of flash flooding for the western Great Lakes states. Models have also started to consistently show a potential mesoscale convective system forming underneath a potent upper-level shortwave moving quickly east across the Central Plains on Monday evening. And though this feature will likely be progressive, it could have the potential to produce heavy rainfall and isolated flash flooding. Sorry, there is still some uncertainty regarding the location of this feature, resulting in a broad marginal risk area that will likely be narrowed down over the next few forecast cycles. Sorry I'm talking quickly. I just want to. It's kind of like, for me, I'm in that mood where I should, whatever. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, this is, now, the risk for rainfall has lessened once we get to Tuesday, and will continue to be less once we get to Wednesday and Thursday. Now, obviously, there are some bits and pieces of uncertainty that we have to rule out, but once we rule them out, we will see if a marginal risk is maintained or if a slight risk is put in its place. But firstly, we have to start out with day 3, Tuesday. On Tuesday, an upper-level trough will move across the northwestern United States and will support cyclogenesis over the northern plains. A wave of convection is expected to form ahead of the developing cyclone, bringing thunderstorms to much of the upper Midwest. A moist and unstable air mass will be in place across the upper Midwest after a warm front lifts north on Monday, which will support heavy rainfall in thunderstorms. Flash flooding potential should be limited by the progressive nature of this system, but locally heavy rainfall could still lead to isolated instances of flash flooding, especially where soils will be moistened from rainfall expected on Sunday and Monday. A marginal risk area seems sufficient to cover the flash flooding threat at this time. Another marginal risk area is in place for much of the Ohio and Tennessee valleys and portions of Michigan, where a slow-moving frontal boundary will linger through Tuesday. This frontal boundary will provide modest lift and support for scattered convection across these regions. An anomalously moist air mass will still be in place, which should be enough to support locally heavy rain in some stronger storms and may lead to isolated instances of flash flooding. The flash flood threat will be significantly lower for these regions than on Monday, with much weaker synoptic support. Anyways, so that was that. Let's go on to Wednesday's risk and Thursday's risk. This is Wednesday's risk, and this is Thursday's risk. Alrighty, so unseasonably strong surface low pressure is forecast to push across the northern plains and south-central Canada into midweek, ahead of the northwest United States trough. The leading cold front trailing from the low center will help focus convection and plentiful moisture, instability, and shear. The Storm Prediction Center is calling for a risk of severe weather in the northern plains and the upper Midwest due to this potential on Wednesday. Heavy rainfall and flash flooding also looks to be a concern. A marginal risk is maintained for the upper Midwest with severe thunderstorm potential. Farther south, return flow in the form of a strong low-level jet could bring ample moisture and instability into eastern Kansas into the mid-Mississippi Valley for the evening and overnight hours Wednesday night. Dependent on the upper-level trough evolution, strong energy aloft for forcing may be in place ahead of the surface front. A slight risk upgrade and quantitative precipitation forecast increases may be necessary in future cycles. Into Thursday, the front should continue to edge southeastward further into the central United States ahead of the upper trough, sparking additional thunderstorms. A marginal risk stretches from western portions of the Ohio Valley across the mid-Mississippi Valley and south central plains for the Day 5 Thursday extended rainfall outlook. More rounds of thunderstorms are likely in parts of the plains and Mississippi Valley into the latter part of the week as the trailing end of the front is forecast to stall with a frontal wave over the south central high plains. God, there's still three more paragraphs. All right. A warm front edging towards the Appalachians and vicinity midweek, combined with the hot and humid air mass in place from the broader ridge aloft, will lead to thunderstorms across eastern parts of the Ohio Valley into the Appalachians, possibly spreading into the mid-Atlantic Thursday. So far, this looks to remain below a 5% chance for excessive rainfall and flash flooding, especially as the support aloft weakens. Scattered thunderstorms are forecast to continue into late week and the weekend in much of the east. Florida can also expect daily diurnally driven thunderstorms, diurnally referring to daytime heating. The upper trough in the west and multiple frontal passages will bring cooler conditions and chances for rain in the northwest into Wednesday, along with potential snow in the higher elevations of the northern Rockies. Wow. Into the late week and next weekend, the details of the trough are more questionable, leading to uncertainty in additional rounds of rainfall across the northern Rockies and northern High Plains. The mean upper-level ridge over the central to eastern U.S. is expected to bring the first significant heat of the summer by mid to late week as temperatures soar 10 to 20 degrees above average. The threat should gradually shift from the central U.S. Wednesday, reaching its peak by Friday from the mid-Atlantic to the northeast before gradually moderating by next week. See the Weather Prediction Center's key messages for more. Meanwhile, the upper trough over the northwest will lead to below-average temperatures in that region for the midweek, then shifting into the northern plains and moderating. The west coast should see a warmer trend by next weekend, but how warm the region will get is questionable, given model differences. Alrighty, that's really it for today's video, so get out of here.